I'm Mark Rubin, and this is a presentation about visualizing a part of a business called the production system. And this is the part of the business that moves money around, where the work is happening. People doing processes that move money. I made this video, I think, in 2010 or 2011. And I'm organizing my website now. I found it first time in over a decade. And I thought I'd recreate it and throw it up on my website. Here we go. So have you ever wondered what a business looks like? I have. I wondered this in 1985 when I was mowing lawns, pushing a lawnmower, imagining everything that was happening around me in terms of the processes I was doing to gather potential money from a customer's bank account and move it into my bank account. And the part of the business I'm going to talk about here is the part of the business specifically that's related to doing work, the work of moving money around. There are other parts of business too, which is like partnerships or strategies or, designing things. That's not the part of the business I'm discussing here. This is just the production process, the machinery of energy transfer. And so production looks like it contains three things. The first part is what does money look like? And in order to understand what money looks like, it's important to understand there's actually three kinds of money in a business and actually in the world, just like there's three kinds of energy in the world. In a business, there is kinetic money or actual money, which is the money that flows in. And that money is visible on an income statement or a P&L. And what it shows is at the top here is revenue that comes in. And then there's all these expenses in the business. And then there's a certain amount of money either left over or negative on the bottom. And this is just a snapshot in time of a couple of businesses I had back in, January 2011. Also, there's a budget, which would be what I call here the possible money, but really it's theoretical money. And you have, in energy transfer, you have kinetic energy and you have theoretical energy. And what the budget is a model of what you imagine you're going to get based on, your best guess of how much money is going to come in and how much money is going to go out. And this is a budget model that I plan 18 months in advance in this business and try to estimate based on seasonality, availability, marketing spend, economic forces, how much money is going to come in and how much money is going to go out every month for the next 18 months. The businesses that I have are fairly predictable. I'm within 10% every month, up or down, and that makes it easier to plan. And then there's a sales funnel, which is the front end of this process. And the sales funnel represents the conversion in the marketplace of essentially an awareness funnel, which is how many people have heard of this business, how many people have a need for the service or product, how many people call or show up in the business, how many of those people are qualified leads, meaning that they agree that they want to buy the service for the price that you're offering. And then the next phase is jobs, which is when we show up on site to a customer's house in this business, which is a junk removal business. How many of them actually say yes and that buy from us? And all these things are connected by ratios, conversion ratios. And those ratios can be visualized spatially as spinning gears. Next up, we have this concept of friction. And friction is a measurement of the metrics in the system that are operating below acceptable limits. And a more broader way to look at this is the friction is measuring the performance of the processes. So previously I'd explained that there's money, but how is the money moving? What's moving the money? It's processes. And what this is saying is that within every process, there's friction. And I measure things in detail at every step of the process that's related to this. This is just an example of of a model I had back in, I guess I started this one in like 2008. I have more advanced versions of this, but basically measuring the performance of things based on how many dollars per hour is coming in, how many jobs did we complete in that time frame, what's the average job size, how many jobs are on the schedule in the future, all these different things that we measure, and these are connected to processes that people are performing. And then it's possible to break those processes down into steps and create a matrix of the performance of the people at each step in the process based on the measurement of those things. And these things can be aligned to performance plans, compensation plans, reward plans, inspirational plans, motivational plans, to try to improve the behaviors of the people doing the work at each step, to make the processes have less friction, to move the money faster. And it's possible to it's cute. It's possible to represent this visually and spatially in a model, in a toolbox. And it's been a long time since I've seen this, but I like this one. But anyway, so basically the idea is it's possible to measure the scale of the money using gears. And at a single snapshot in time, the gears will be frozen. It's possible to measure the friction in the processes by color-coded lines on a flow chart. And the color, a green and a short line is it's working well, and a red and a long line is it's working poorly at that step. And then it's possible to measure the performance of the people doing the work at each step in the process as a color coding for each step mapped to the performance of an individual. And in a dynamic model, as the business is unfolding throughout the day, taking snapshots of this type of system, it's possible to see this over time and create this dynamic visualization of what's happening. And this is important because this can be used to understand the concept of momentum. Is where is it going to end up at the end of the day? Where is the business going to end up at the end of the week, the month, the year, the decade? Momentum is visualized in this model. And so the money's in motion. So what's happening is these sequences map to a funnel, stages in a funnel. And basically, there's a business function called marketing where you generate traffic, which means you put something in front of people's eyeballs or ears so that they're aware of the business. And then some people call, some people are qualified to buy. Some people, we show up at their house and do some work. And then when they pay us money, they become customers. And the money they pay us is called revenue. We subtract off our expenses and we get profit. That's the end of the game. And if you imagine that a dollar bill is over here in a customer's bank account and a dollar bill is over here in the business bank account, what this is mapping all the processes in between those two stages. And the money's in motion, dollars per hour. Looking at a business in terms of an income statement is an incomplete way to look at it because the income statement is simply a single snapshot in time. And what's not here are cycles, like seasonal cycles. Like, is it spring? Is it summer? Is it winter? Did it snow last month for 2 weeks? Who knows? And when you look at a bunch of income statements over time, like every month, you're trying to figure out what's happening. That is a very incomplete way to look at a business. The budget can be used to forecast what's going to happen in the future, and the idea is to measure really actual information to this theoretical information. And same thing with the call center. Conversion metrics is at every step in this process. Identifying what numbers are good, which numbers are bad, and measuring them to determine where in the sales funnel and where in this conversion process things can be improved. So the challenge with business is that there's a lot of numbers and related processes and people, and I think it's hard for most people to wrap their heads around everything that's happening. And so one way to go about understanding things that are hard to imagine is to represent them visually and spatially. And so what I've done is developed a model that describes the flow of money through the business, spatial model. And this model, the size of these gears represents the dollar value, and the speed of these gears represents the dollars per hour, the velocity of the money moving through the business. And this little dollar sign that's wiggling through here is a customer. It's going to restart in a minute. And basically, so what's happening is this customer's moving through this funnel, and those processes that are moving it, and little pieces of that money are flowing into the revenue part of the income statement, and then subtracted off on all these expenses that are around here, and what's left is profit. And this is an actual scale model of a size of a junk removal business. The next part of it is mapping the processes that are moving the money through this system. And basically, this allows me to identify the friction points in the system. Once I see the structure of the business, then something must be moving the money through it. And those are the different processes and sub-processes within the business. And this is a map of all the friction points in the business. And the next thing is understanding for the measurement of the friction as it's flowing through the business. What are numbers that are good? What are numbers that are okay? And what are numbers that are bad for each step in that process? And then mapping that to the structure of the flow chart that represents the flow of the processes. And that's a model of knowledge, a knowledge structure, because it shows the performance of the processes in a spatial map. And those are friction metrics. And then, and that's represented dynamically over here in this model, where this is the same customer that we looked at on the money side of this model. And this customer is moving through the series of processes, through a call center, through a sales process. They become a customer when we do the job. The staff shows up and does the job. They give us revenue, we subtract off our costs, and then we have profit. And this is red because there wasn't enough profit in this month that I'm demonstrating here. Next is the performance of the people doing the work at each step in the process. And the idea is, how can I see this in context? And that is represented by this performance grid. And what this is showing is that these are the processes that were above on that process map. And these are the people that have jobs doing those processes at each step. And by understanding the performance of the people at each step and color coding those processes, you can understand the concepts of what is the quantity of money at each point and what is the quality of the work at each point in the system. And basically, understanding this and measuring it objectively with real numbers and determining where it's red makes it easier to optimize the system. And that is a scale model of the production process in a business. I currently own 18 businesses. I have about 300 gears in my system, 1,000 people, about $100 million combined. They all work this way. I learned this in 1985 when I was mowing lawns. And I was imagining what was happening around me. And I'm using it now to explain some new ideas about energy transfer, conversion of potential money into kinetic money, and that businesses have momentum. So the idea here is that there's a dynamic model, which is sampling the system continuously and creating an animation. And then there's a static model where you just look at numbers in a business and try to understand what's happening, which is challenging. This is another business, a moving company called You Move Me. And they all work the same way. There's the conversion of money through the sales funnel and the conversion of the money through the income statement. There is the map of all the processes that's happening in the business and the performance of each process color-coded at each step. And then there is the performance of the people in each process at each step, color-coded, as the money's moving through the system. And it's possible to organize all this into a series of system metrics to identify what's called the unit of work. The unit of work is an energy unit and a time unit and a capacity unit, which in this case is revenue per truck day. There's this applies not just to business systems, but a bee carrying some honey. So it'll be calories per bee day, for example, because honey is energy and money is energy. And if you know how many bee days or truck days you have and what the capacity units are, you can figure out all your production capacities of each bee or person or truck and optimize around this. And the optimal system is when the people, the money, and the friction are all green. And by measuring things in this way and spatially, it's easier, I'd say, to see what's happening and to improve things. And all business systems are connected. If you spent any money today, you put it inside somebody else's business system. And the money you earn from whatever work you do is being moved from somebody else's business system into your pocket. These systems are all around us, connected together through the economy. And so each one of these is like the food store, internet services, your car payments, everybody's system all connected together. And this is a model of the production system in a business. I love franchises. I have 18 franchises because I only have to worry about this, which is doing the work. And the franchisor basically does all this other stuff on my behalf. And that's why I decided to standardize on one franchise and optimize it in this way. And this is a way to visualize the money in a business system, the friction in a business system, the performance of the people in the business system. And basically, a business is just an invisible machine that moves money around. And if you can organize it the right way, you can see how it works and you can make it run better. And this is a big advantage. And this was Visual Systems for Business Production, seeing inside the machine.